We are doing dip nails in real time today. What's up, nail crew? It's Nicole, your fellow nail obsessed DIYer. I've had a bunch of requests for doing nails in real time so you can see exactly how long it takes me to apply liquids, pour over the powder, etc. So I already have my builder gel down on my natural nails as my base, and then I do peel base over that. So I'm just doing 2 layers of the color dips and then 1 layer of clear. What I like to do for each layer, because I don't need to build an apex, is I push my cuticles back before the start of each time I put the dip base down on my nail. So when I'm about to do a layer on a nail, I push my cuticles back and then very slowly apply the peel base. Now, I took out a bunch of the pauses in between so that you don't have to see like me move my brush over or move the jar over, but you can see that I'm applying my dip base really thin. And even though I've been doing my nails for over 5 years now, I still really take my time when applying the dip base. I've personally found that if I speed through applying my dip base, I end up messing something up. I mean, even when I go nice and slow like this, I still do a lot of goofy things and mess it up. So, taking your time is really, really important. Even though this video is only about 11 and a half minutes long, it actually took me about 35 minutes to do this hand. Since I didn't do any kind of nail designs or anything on it, I wanted to keep it really simple. Something that really has been helping me with getting my dips to be really nice and even is, number one, you always want to make sure that you don't flood your cuticles with the liquid. Number two, you want to get a majority of your dip base off on the inside of the bottle, like in that little lid part. You get a majority of that off before you even pull the brush out. And this helps you to control how much liquid you're putting on your nail, keep it nice and thin. Those things really, really help me. And even now, still, I have to remind myself like to focus on that and to not try to rush through anything. Then I like to take an Orangewood stick and go right around my cuticles and my sidewalls to make sure that no dip or dip liquids are stuck on them. That is another really big helper for me to keep my manis on as long as possible. So if you're somebody who really likes to keep your nails on long, doing that is definitely going to help you. You don't want to get any dip or dip base stuck around on your nails or on your skin, because then you'll get more lifting. Now, anytime I do a solid or a shimmer, if I'm not doing like any kind of ombre or anything on it, I go in immediately with my clear dip powder and put that down, brush off the excess clear dip powder, and even activate. So the reason being, because I tend to be really messy overall when I do my nails. Like if you've been around for a while and you've seen a lot of my spills and the messes that I make, you know that it's inevitable at some point during the mani I'm gonna mess something up. This one I actually like really took my time because I knew that I wanted to do it in real time for everybody. So I didn't spill. I was actually really proud of myself. Normally I spill and do some really goofy things. But doing clear as my last layer on the solids and shimmers, and then activating before I even go into the glitters, that really helps me to keep my solids and shimmers from getting contaminated with the glitters. When I'm working with a fine glitter like this, I really try to get a good coverage on both dips. So I shake the dip up in my dip cup liner. I'm using dip cup liners from SJ3 Designs. If you don't have these awesome little dip cup liners, you can use disposable cupcake liners. They just tend to knock over a lot easier. And if you are like me and you're messy and you're clumsy, then using disposable cupcake liners is really a recipe for disaster. These help me so much. And I still do the same thing. I apply my dip liquids really thinly. The one thing I do when I'm doing glitter, and I don't do this obviously when I'm using a solid or a shimmer, is I take a piece of washi tape, and I get like the thin washi tape, and I press the glitter down. Once I have it dipped, I let it dry for like a couple seconds, and then I gently press the glitter down. So this is going to keep your glitter from like sticking up weirdly. Sometimes when you're working with really thick glitter, really chunky glitter, you have to do a little bit more pressing down. But if you're working with a high quality dip powder, even with a chunky glitter, you shouldn't have to do that much work. Like if your chunky glitters are taking forever and they're really a struggle, there's a chance it might just not be the best quality. Just something to keep in mind. But fine glitters like this are really easy to work with. I like to, move the glitters around in the dip cup, kind of shake them all up to the top. This way, when I lay my nail flat, I'm laying it onto exactly where I want to pick up all the glitters. And I really try to like look at my nails when I'm doing a fine glitter, even when I'm doing chunky too, and see like, okay, where on my nail did I miss any of the glitter on the first dip? So where do I need to make sure that I pick up some more glitter on the second dip? And that's something that I really, really try hard to remember to do so that I'm not going and putting my clear on and then I'm like, oh shoot, half of my finger is missing glitter on the side. I'm really careful about getting any product on my skin. Sometimes I like to wear gloves, and sometimes I just lately haven't been. I don't know why, honestly. Really, it's because I haven't done laundry as often, and my nail gloves are in the laundry, so I just haven't been wearing my nail gloves as much as I used to. If you're working with gels, I would for sure recommend wearing those nail gloves, or if you're, e-filing off dip or anything like that, that you're going to be having a lot of any kind of nail product exposure on your skin, you definitely want to wear gloves because the more you're exposed to nail products, like even the dip powder, the dip base, you could get contact dermatitis or get like itchy skin. And we definitely don't want any of that. Obviously, with gels, getting anything on your skin can lead to gel allergies. So I try to be crazy, crazy careful when I'm using gels. And doing the little piece of washi tape on my finger of the opposite hand helps me to be able to press the glitters down without having to get any of the dip powder or dip base on my actual skin because everything is just being touched with the washi tape instead. You can use painter's tape. I found that those two work the best, or masking tape. Anything else, things tend to stick, but washi, painters, and masking tapes tend to work the best, at least for me. Every time I do a layer of dip, I like to use a stiff nail brush to really like go around and make sure that none of the excess dip is stuck, because when you're either pouring the powder over or like for a glitter, flake or foil, you're laying your nail flat, some of it might not stick to the dip base. So if you leave that extra on, like that excess glitter or, even that excess powder on any of your colors, any of your solids or shimmers, and clear too, it's going to make your nails thicker. And when we're talking about clear, I would definitely recommend using a really high quality. So I know a lot of people will say, oh, you have to brush off a ton for clear. Well, to be honest, I don't really brush off much for my clear, and my clear is super crystal clear, so I don't have to worry about that. If you know that your clear is not really crystal clear, then for sure get a stiff nail brush and like brush the heck out of that, like making sure there's no powder left over anywhere. Once my nails are totally done, I've done the clear as my last layer. I activate them, let them dry. And then once they're dry, I tap on my nails to like give it a check and make sure that it makes like this hard tapping sound. Then you can go in with the buffing, filing, and shaping. So this is in real time how I do my buffing. And I don't have to do a ton of buffing since I use high quality powders and liquids. For this mani, I'm using OG dip powders for both the liquids and the powders. There's a couple companies that I use that like you really don't need to buff or file much at all. It's basically just like smoothing the top out and the sides. And then I just go around and make sure that like when I'm doing my buffing, that not only is it smooth, that I kind of like buff downwards towards the sides of my finger because I want to keep that nice curve. So it's not like a weird ridge on the side of my nails. And then I was trying out a new nail drill bit to do my cuticle lines. I like to go around my cuticles and my sidewalls with a nail drill super carefully. So normally use a carbide bit, and I was trying one of these ceramic ones thinking, oh, like maybe it will be less sharp. Maybe this won't cut up people's hands as much. I had to be really careful with this. I actually think the ceramic one is sharper than the carbide, which I was really surprised about. I thought, oh, like people always say that the ceramic ones are gentler. Okay, it might be gentler, but like when you're going near your cuticles, you have to be really careful. I mean, I was able to get my cuticle lines to look really nice and smooth, but I sliced them up a little bit. I didn't even include that in here because I didn't actually like cut through for any blood. I just like nicked myself a couple times. So you have to be really careful when you're doing that if you don't want to use a super sharp bit. I have some other videos that I use a way gentler bit, and I will make sure to link one of those at the end. Once you're done with all your buffing, shaping, filing, like I just go around and make sure that, my shape still looks good because dip adds bulk. So you need to make sure that, you fix up any shaping that got a little wonky. Then I wipe my nails off with isopropyl alcohol, or you can spray them off and then wipe them. Then you want to go in for your top coating. So whatever dip liquids you're using, make sure to use their instructions. This is what I see a lot of, that people are struggling with their dip liquids top coat, but it's because they're maybe using whatever instructions they saw for dip liquids in general. That doesn't always work because some dip liquids have very specific instructions of the timing. So for the OG dip powder ones I'm using now, you do heavy activator on 5 nails, thumb to pinky, and then you count to 10 when you get to your pinky, then go back to your thumbnail and do 2 to 3 quick, even, thin strokes, capping your edges. And then you go right back, thumb to pinky, and then you go back in with the second layer, thumb to pinky again, in, floated strokes, capping your edges. Let me know in the comments if you want to see more manis in real time. Check out this next video and we'll do beautiful cuticle lines with using a much gentler bit. Thanks for joining me today, nail crew.